Now, Brexit negotiations continue. In the latest developments, the EU has agreed to give the UK a transition period up to the end of 2020. This will allow the UK to sign trade agreements during that period while still being part of the EU market. EU citizens will still be able to work and move freely. On the thorny issue of the Irish border, the idea of an emergency backstop has been maintained. That is a clause to ensure that there's no hard border between the Republic of Ireland and the British province of Northern Ireland. That border, however, is just one of the UK exit deal will have to take into account. There's also the issue of Gibraltar, the UK territory on the southern tip of Spain. Locals there voted overwhelmingly to stay in the EU, and they feel their livelihoods will be put in jeopardy if they're forced to leave. France 24's Chris Moore sends us this report.
The Rock of Gibraltar, a strategic gateway to the Mediterranean, a mere 14 kilometres from Morocco. Just the other side of this runway is Spain. For 3 centuries, this speck of limestone has been a British overseas territory, and the Crown's influence is plain to see. But its population of 34,000 has roots that reflect its position as an international crossroads. By a statue of British naval hero Horatio Nelson, local historian Tito harks back to 1967 and an overwhelming vote in favour of UK sovereignty.
Call it Referendum Gate, as a reminder of the big referendum we had to say that we don't want to be Spanish. Okay?
And you still don't want to be Spanish?
No, no way. My 2 surnames tell you I am Vallejo Smith. My mother was English, my father of Spanish descent. So what am I, Gibraltarian?
It's an identity based on proud exceptionalism and a fierce sense of separateness from Madrid, which maintains its right to the Rock. Every weekend, the former army sergeant and his friends dress up to remember key moments from the past.
This is our barrack room, if you want to call it that. With everybody has his own locker with his uniform. Okay, like here you see mine.
At first glance, it all feels more Rule Britannia than Long Live Brussels. But Tito says the United Kingdom made a big mistake when it voted to leave the European Union.
Very careful, very slippery. I voted to stay in. We were told, because we obey our politicians, because we have great faith in them. And if we didn't, we would string them up from the nearest tree. That's Gibraltar, because it's small, we know each other, and if you commit corruption or whatever, we'll get you and hang you from the tree.
Over at government headquarters, they seem more concerned about the logistics of Brexit than the prospect of violence at the hands of the people.
Well, the people of Gibraltar are enthusiastic Europeans. 96% of us voted to remain within the European Union. So obviously, we are in a position where we don't want to be. We find ourselves leaving the European Union because the UK voted to leave. Our debate is about the movement of people, how people are going to cross that border once we are no longer in Europe.
Down at the border, there's a distinctly British feel to the weather. It's an unusual crossing. The only way for pedestrians and motorists to reach the Rock is via the airport's runway. Tensions between London and Madrid can cause major delays, and the fear is Brexit could make things worse. Every day, more than 10,000 Spaniards come in from neighbouring La Linea, where unemployment stands at 40%. For locals like Lorenzo, Gibraltar's an economic lifeline he's seen cut off before, when Spain was a dictatorship.
Buenísimo. Muy bueno, café. I was born here, but my father used to work in Gibraltar, but the Franco closed the border and all of us had to immigrate. So I went to England, you know, and we spent many years living in London. My life is very bad because here nobody's got a job. I have to go to Gibraltar and I don't like going every day. I would like to work here, but there are no jobs here.
Lorenzo's journey to work at this fish and chip shop is just a couple of kilometres long, but takes about an hour. Yet he says he doesn't mind the inconvenience. He earns 50% more here than he could in La Linea. With Gibraltar accounting for a quarter of the neighbouring region's GDP, he's one of many cross-border workers who have little time for Madrid's claim on the territory.
I am Spanish, but I would like this place to be British forever.
It's a status quo with which many are happy. Gibraltar's economic growth has averaged 10% in recent years on the back of low taxes and access to the EU single market. Now the future of the latter is uncertain, and Spain sees the former as unfair competition.
Main security.
Hello, it's Chris and Karim from France 24.
Yes, I'll open the gate for you, sir.
Thank you. In the depths of the rock, we meet Luis Garcia. Hello, Luis.
Yes.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Nice to meet you.
This is the Admiralty Tunnel, and it's a tunnel that was dug in 1898. Then in World War II was used as the command center. This is a room where the then General Dwight Eisenhower spent about, I think it was 12 days, overseeing the implementation of Operation Torch. The plan was to recapture North Africa back into Allied hands.
But Luis is no military historian. His company's chosen this as the location for the servers helping power a global industry worth over 40 billion euros.
These are the racks we hire out to our customers.
And who are your customers, mainly?
Most of them are online gaming.
1/3 of online gaming's worldwide incomes generated in Gibraltar, where the sector accounts for 25% of the economy. Being in the EU has netted companies licences in markets including Spain, France and Italy. Luis is confident there will be life after Brexit, but says the vote's left some bosses weighing up their options.
Until we know what exactly Brexit entails, nobody's really sure how that's going to affect any business, not just online gaming. Is day-to-day running of many businesses are affected or could be affected by Brexit.
As the flight from London lands, it's business as usual on the runway. But both Gibraltar and the Spaniards who depend on it are waiting nervously on the impact of a vote that took place 2,000 kilometres to the north.